What a gloomy, glum day here. So, ring light it is. Also, let me put my, I'm starving, so I was trying to eat a little something before I started filming. I've just tried this Korean barbecue beef jerky. Pretty good. Not much for an intro today because we got 18 books to get through. So, without further ado, all the books that I read in November, let's wrap them up. Also, I love my sweatshirt. The back of it there. One of my best friends got it for me for my birthday, and it's perfect. She picked the perfect color, little skull, it's perfect. Okay, anyways, first up, Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. So this was the first book that I read this month, and I gave this one 4 stars, I think. So this one is an hockey rivals to lovers romance. So Shane and Ilya, I think that's how you pronounce his name. They're both obviously hockey players, and they have grown up since they were younger, like maybe early teenager to like late teenager. They were always just pinned against each other. They're obviously two very talented athletes, and they've always been on opposite teams. And now, so you see them like when they're younger as their relationship builds to where they are like both in the NHL playing professionally, and how the media has always pitted the two of them against each other and created like this big rivalry between the two of them. But what the public in the hockey world do not know is that these two are secretly hooking up. Neither of them are out openly, and neither of them really know like how to, you know, let the public know that they actually, like, yes, they do have a rivalry, but actually they're like in love with each other. I really enjoyed this one. I liked the hockey part of it. I liked their relationship progression. The reason that it did get 4 stars instead of 5 though, it is told in third person, and I do just have a more difficult time connecting, especially in romances when it's told in a third person perspective instead of first person. So I wish it would have been first person. And also the ending did feel a little rushed. I wish we could have seen some more things play out at the end of the book that we didn't get to see, unfortunately, but I still liked the story overall. I really liked Shane and Ilya. I liked both of them individually and both of them together, and yeah, I enjoyed this. Next up, one of my favorites of the month, 5 stars, What Was Meant to Be by QB Tyler. So obviously y'all know that I had to read, well, I got an arc of this, and I had like literally as soon as it got on my Kindle, I devoured it. This book had me in a chokehold. So this one follows Whitney and JP, or Jacob, and it is an age gap, forbidden, dad's best friend, godfather, second chance romance. So Jacob and Whitney, so Jacob has been best friends with Whitney's parents for years and years and years, and he is Whitney's godfather. When she turns 18, they begin a relationship that then they're together behind her parents' backs. And then he ends up breaking up with her, and he moves during the pandemic to, I don't remember where, but some country to do some medical care. He's a doctor, and then he just stays there and stays there and stays there. And Whitney is at first heartbroken, and then she eventually moves on. And where we pick up in this book, Jacob hears that Whitney is engaged to another guy, and he's like, oh, hell no. And he comes racing back home and is like, you are not marrying this dude. And it's them having to work through their issues, and then also the fact that, you know, their relationship has not been known to their family and friends, and working through all of that. This was so hot, so angsty, just truly no one does like a taboo forbidden romance like QB Tyler, and this was literal perfection. I have literally not a single complaint about this book. One of my favorites of QB's. Still Always Been You is my favorite, but this one like blew me away. Next up, I read, I think this is the 5th book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series, Barbarian's Prize by Ruby Dixon. So I kind of always go back to this series whenever I need like a palate cleanser in between all of the contemporary not alien books that I read. So I just picked this up whenever I'm feeling a little slumpy, and this one follows Tiffany and Saluk, I think. Again, I don't really know how to pronounce all the aliens' names sometimes, but if you don't know the premise of the Ice Planet Barbarian series, all of these women were kidnapped, like human women were kidnapped from our planet, taken by this one alien species, and then when they're taken away to be like trafficked, the aliens end up, like their ship has problems, and they end up having to drop these human women on this random planet, and they keep on going to like get to safety, and these human women are left on this new planet, and they're like, what the heck? And then they encounter this tribe of other aliens, and they all need mates, and it goes from there. It's like breeding kink, alien human mates, simps of men, yeah, that kind of vibes. And so Tiffany is one of the human women, and she went through some horrible things on the way on the original ship over to this new planet that she has not really talked to anyone about, and she is really, really scared of just men in general, but now like the alien men and them maybe not taking no for an answer, even though that nothing has happened with these new blue alien men, but she's just nervous about that. She has a lot of healing to do, and she has not resonated with anyone yet. And then her and Saluk, they're kind of like friendly, you know, she kind of sees him as a friend, but again, she like doesn't want a mate or anything to do with one. And all of the alien men are like, oh, she's still like, no one's resonated with her, she's still not claimed by anyone yet, and just kind of like vie for her attention. This one was fine. They definitely weren't my favorite couple. I just kind of felt like a lack of spark between the two of them, and I don't know, just kind of, I just didn't like necessarily care about it that much. I did still enjoy it. I just enjoy this series as a whole, but yeah, definitely not my favorite so far that I've read. And I think I gave it like 3.5 stars, but I did round it down to 3. Okay, next up. Sorry guys, I read Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings, the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. I don't know. So this one follows Daisy and Christian and Julian. So Daisy and Julian are brother and sister, and then Christian works for Julian and is hooking up with Daisy. So Julian's involved in like organized crime. He's like a paint thief. So he like, you know, does some like unsavory business, but also like, I don't really care. And Daisy's obviously has grown up in this world. They don't have their parents anymore. Their parents were killed, and it's just them two. Here's the thing. And honestly, like, I don't even know what to say the plot of this book is, because genuinely I don't really know. I did not really care for Daisy. I thought Christian was boring. Like, this dude was straight up boring to me. Like, every single interaction that him and Daisy had, I just did not feel any sort of like connection between them. I just really lacked any connection to this story overall, except for Julian. I did really like him, and I'm really intrigued, especially by some decisions that he made at the end of this book, to see how the fallout of those go for like him personally, and then his relationships with people and like his business. I'm very intrigued by him. Daisy and Christian overall, I just like, I didn't really care about them. I definitely liked Daisy more than Christian. Christian was like my least favorite character in this book, and it's obviously very toxic. Like, Daisy goes back and forth with Christian, like Christian and Daisy are just always going back and forth with each other, and she has some like other men that she sees, and I did like parts of her past as well. But I don't know, just overall, this did not give me the same vibes that I got with Magnolia Parks. I gave that one 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to read Long Way Home. But this one, just like, I don't know. I really, really struggled with feeling like connected to this story. Next up, I read King of Wrath by Anna Huang, her first book in, what is this series called? Kings of Sin. There's gonna be 7, obviously, like the 7 deadly sins, so Wrath is first. So this one is Dante and Vivian, and if you read the Twisted series, you did see them make appearances in Twisted Lies, which is the last book, and then you also see Christian and Stella make appearances in this one, and honestly, that was my favorite part of this book, was when those two showed up, specifically when Christian showed up. I was like, you're here to save the day. I shouldn't say that. It's not that I didn't like this. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I did really enjoy this book a lot. It's just, here's the thing for me. The Twisted series, I gave all of those books 5 stars, and I like Twisted Love and Twisted Games were on my top 10 of last year, and Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies are going to be on my top 10 of this year. So truly, like, you couldn't go anywhere but down from there, because it's like, I loved those. I enjoyed this. I did really like it. It's just, I think it didn't live up personally for me to my love for the Twisted series, but I'm still really excited to see the rest of the books in this series. I do think that the first one is always kind of a struggle to like start a brand new world and a brand new series, because you can't capture that like emotion of like excitement when you see cameos from characters that you already love when you're starting like a brand new series. So anyways, this one follows Vivian and Dante, and it's a billionaire arranged marriage, hate to love kind of romance. So obviously Dante's a billionaire, and Vivian is the daughter of a wealthy family, and her father and Dante arrange a marriage between Dante and Vivian, and she like reluctantly accepts, because she's like, no, this is just kind of what I've thought my life is going to be. She's just kind of accepted that, but that still doesn't mean that she's like gung-ho excited to marry Dante, especially when he makes no moves to kind of make her feel welcome, or even give a hint that he wants anything more than just like a business relationship with her. You know that they start to develop real feelings, but there is some like revenge plot in here a little bit with Dante and Vivian's dad. I did like that Vivian had, you know, like a life and a job outside of Dante. Dante's business was fine. Overall, this was like I really liked it. It's just, I don't think it's anything for me that was like super memorable. And maybe I think I'm just kind of burnt out on Billionaires. I've read a lot of Billionaire romances in the last half of this year that I just think I kind of need a break from the Billionaires. Next up, I read a monster novella, Little Green Vines by Britt Andrews. So this one is a monster sapphic romance. So Poppy, her family lives in a cabin in the middle of the woods, but a couple of years back, her family was like wiped out in some sort of like famine or like sickness that she ended up recovering from, and now she just lives alone in her cottage in the middle of the woods, kind of on the outskirts of her village. And one day she's out gardening, and she's always been warned about the forest that edges the property and never to go in there because women tend to go in there and they're never seen again. But she ends up seeing something and she gets drawn into this forest, and when she gets in there, she just kind of gets ensnared, I guess, by this demoness who lives in the forest. And she has been watching Poppy for quite some time, and it's like Poppy's 25th birthday when this happens, and she finally is like, it's time for you to like come and be with me. And yeah, it's like 40 pages, super short, super smutty. And it was fun. Like, genuinely, I just had a fun reading experience with this. Next up, another novella that I read, Say Yes by Lucia Franco. So this is a novella following Hush Hush, which is her standalone. It follows James and Aubrey, so you should read Hush Hush before you read this, because otherwise you wouldn't really care about this. It's just a novella about James and Aubrey after the events of Hush Hush, and you just see them in their future. This was fine. I gave it 4 stars. Like, I did really enjoy it. I think it was completely pointless. Like, I didn't need it. Maybe some other people who like love longer happily ever afters, but y'all know that it's just like once they're together, like I don't really need to see any more from them. And that's kind of how I felt with this one, but it was still enjoyable. That's all I have to say about it. Next up, my favorite book that I read this month. This book, I never order books as soon as I finish them, but I had to order this one through my tears because I was like, I just need to hold it in my hands. And why is my neighbor outside in his robe again with his dog just like standing in front of me? Oh my God, he's in a robe and like flip-flops, and it's probably 20 degrees outside. Clearly his dog is not going to the bathroom. See? Cats are superior. I don't have to go outside with the cats. Cats are superior. Anyways, Where the Mountains Meet the Sea by A.R. Breck. So this book, what to even say about this book? Hey, can you like stop being right in front of my window? I'm just gonna wait. Oh, the dog's finally going potty. Okay, good for you, sir, because it's freezing outside. You're gonna get frostbite on your toes. Okay, Where the Mountains Meet the Sea by A.R. Breck. So this one follows Roman and Luna, and it's childhood friends to lovers, rock star, ballerina, angsty and just emotional and tragic. And yeah, so Roman and Luna meet when they are 6 and 7, when Luna's family moves in, or is it? Yeah, it's Luna's family that moves in next door to Roman's, and they just get connected, and then it's them over the years. So it follows them when they're 6 and 7, and then when they're like middle school age, and then high school age, and then in like 20s. So you follow them over an entire span of their lives. I don't even know. I genuinely don't even know what to say about this to not like give anything away. I did include this in my emotional, or like books that emotionally destroyed me. I don't want to give away anything about the ending, but if you are looking for a traditional romance, this is not that whatsoever, so be warned. I personally loved that. It's so hard to watch them first, just like their love grow over the course of their lives, but then also like when their dreams take them in either direction. So, I guess I should have said, so like Luna's a dancer and she dreams of going to Juilliard in New York, and Roman, his dad is a rock star, and Roman is in a band himself, and his band ends up getting signed to a record label out in LA. So like their dreams end up taking them in opposite directions, and just like the course that each of their lives go over after certain things happen, it's just such a journey. I loved this book with everything in me. Like truly, this book is going to be one of my favorites of this entire year. It was just beautiful. And yeah, but be prepared, have some tissues ready, because I didn't, and I just used my t-shirt. My t-shirt was like soaked with my tears. Oh, whoopsies. All right, next, Heartless by Elsie Silver. So I needed something light after reading Where the Mountains Meet the Sea. I needed something just like a little more lighthearted. So I was not planning on reading this for a while, and then I was like, screw it. I've had such FOMO because everyone has read this book. So I picked it up. So this one is the second book in the Chestnut Springs series, and I gave this one 5 stars. I did. I gave it 5 stars. So this one follows Cade and Willa, and it's a small town nanny age gap romance. So Willa is best friend. Dorian? What?
Oh my goodness. This boy was just yelling up a storm out in the living room.
Okay, do you want to sit with mom for a little bit? Okay, so Willa is best friends with the heroine from the first book, and she is looking for a job. She's visiting her friend in Chestnut Springs or whatever, and she ends up bumping into this dude at the coffee shop, and she ends up dropping her underwear in front of him, and he ends up picking it up, and she's like, you can keep those, and she leaves, and the dude that picked up her underwear is Cade, and he is the older brother of the hero from the first book, and he is a single dad to a little boy, and he is like running the farm, trying to basically like keep his whole family's like estate kind of up and running, and he really needs some help with his son over the summer while he works, and he ends up hiring Willa, and it goes from there. Honestly, this book could have gotten 5 stars from me just for the scene of Willa pushing a child into the swimming pool alone. Like, I'm not normally the biggest fan of kids in books. That's why I don't read a ton of like single parent romance. I don't mind accidental pregnancy because normally it's like on the tail end of like kids appearing, or like at least they're babies. This one though, I loved this child. It was so cute. I loved seeing him and Willa's relationship grow. I loved Cade and Willa's relationship. I really don't have a complaint about this book. It was really good. Really, really good, and very much was surprising to me that I enjoyed it as much as I did. But yeah, I understand why everyone loves it. And it was hot. Hot. I don't normally find cowboys hot. But Cade? Yeah. Okay, oh, I didn't like this, so we're gonna kind of speed past it. Kick by C.D. Rice. So this one is a doctor-patient novella. It's the first one, and I think there's maybe 3 of them. I will never be reading the others. So Fiona is in this psych ward being held after she was arrested because she stabbed her ex, or like is she still with him? Is she not? Whatever. And it's like BDSM, that like she has like a BDSM relationship with this dude that she stabbed. And basically the Dr. Chapman or something has like 42 hours. No, geez, use your brain. 72 hours to prove that she's like not crazy. And yeah, honestly, that's a horrible explanation of it, but I don't care because I didn't like this. I gave it 2 stars, and I would never read any more in it. It was boring. It was confusing. It was lackluster. It was not for me. And next up, another one that was not for me. I think I gave this one 2 stars on Goodreads because I really hate giving things 1 star, but I marked this down as 1 star in my reading journal because like it wasn't like poorly written or anything. It's just I didn't like it at all. And that was It Was Only a Kiss by Ashley Michelle. So this one is another novella, and it is a taboo MFM stepbrother and stepdad romance. So Mia is she's like 21. She's still living at home in college, and she has like a strained relationship with her mom, and she's really attracted to her stepbrother and attracted to her stepdad, but she hasn't made any moves on them yet. And then one night she hooks up with her stepbrother, and then like 2 days later she hooks up with her stepdad, and they also maybe have a plan to have like gotten with her, and the dad doesn't even like the mom that he's married to, but he's with her right now to like build a case against her to get divorced. Here's the thing with this one. General unhinged behavior in this across the board. Absolutely wild. Some out of character and out of pocket things that DeLuca, the stepbrother, says sometimes. Like, he turns into like touch her and I'll kill you, when it's like at the beginning it was like, oh, he's this sweet guy, whatever, and then all of a sudden he's like threatening to kill his dad because like he might pose a problem. And then there's like just straight up murder in this out of nowhere. This was just a hot mess. This was an absolute no from me. Keeping it moving here. Two more Christmas novellas, but I'm not gonna really say anything about these because I'm doing a reading vlog for these. So if you watched my December TBR, you know that I stumbled upon absolute gold on Goodreads, and I posted about it on my Instagram stories a while ago. So I was looking for more Christmas novellas to read because here's the thing, I'm not like the Hallmark Christmas book kind of girl. I want like short, spicy with a little bit of Christmas flavor thrown in. And I stumbled upon this, is it like Filthy Dirty Christmas series? It's 25 novellas with different authors, and they have the most out-of-pocket names you can imagine, like Extra Large Candy Cane, Stalk and Stuff Her, which is one that I read, Stocking Stuffers, Stalk and Stuff Her by, who is this by? Jenna Rose. So I read this one. So anyways, long story short, with this one, I am doing a reading vlog, reading some of them because they're so insane that I couldn't not do it. It's truly going to be one of the most unhinged vlogs I've ever done. This one I actually kind of enjoyed. It was so outrageous, but like kind of fun. Save any other thoughts for that actual vlog. And then also the second one that I've read so far is We Three Kings, Hark the Herald's Angels Moan by Alice May Ball. I wish I could have gotten this hour of my life back, but I am going to keep going. I'm going to try to maybe read about like 10 of them because they're super short. They're all like under 100 pages, all just outlandish. So anyways, that's all I'll say about those. For the Out of Bounds book club this past month, our pick was Serpent and Wife by Nyla K. So this one, this was my second book by Nyla K, and I definitely liked it more than the first one. Y'all know that I absolutely hated Distorted by her. But I did end up liking this one. I did give this one 3 stars. It's Polyamorous drug cult vibes. So this one follows Abdil, Darian, and Drake. So Abdil is a young servant in this cult. I use servant loosely. Like, you know, it's not like he's like a servant. It's just that like he cooks for the head of this cult. And that's like all he's born into. He was born into it. His parents were in the cult, and this is all he kind of knows out in the forest. And he's always been intrigued by the leader, Darian. And Darian is the leader of this cult, and him and his foster brother, Drake, are kind of like the two head honchos of this, and they're the ones who started this cult in the middle of the forest. And you do get their backstory and how they came to start the cult. It's like their whole relationship and just like it's kind of like paranormal-ish as well out in the woods. It's definitely like different than anything that I've read before. It doesn't have like a super traditional ending. It's not like a tragic ending or anything. It's just kind of like, it's just different. And I don't really know how else to describe it unless if you just read it. I did like it. I thought the like premise was cool, but I was left with so many questions, plot holes, things that weren't explained as well as they could have. Again, there was like an author's note at the end that was kind of like, well, if you like reread it, you'd catch these things. And it's like, I'm not going to reread this. Again, just like things that it almost felt like, did she have an answer for them? Because if so, I'd like to know. Like, I'd rather know instead of just being like, oh, it's all left up to interpretation. Like, I don't like that. Like, I felt like it felt a little lazy at the end, that it was like, oh, you're just gonna be left with all of these questions. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I think it had a lot of potential. It just didn't end up being like at the potential that it could have. Next, I listened to the audiobook of The Beast by Katie Roberts. So this is the 4th book in her Wicked Villain series. So I had originally started reading this ebook months and months and months ago, and then I got about like 30% in and I just lost interest and I just stopped reading, which I really rarely ever do, but I just wasn't having it and I was in a slump and I put it down. And then when it was Thanksgiving time and I needed an audiobook on my drive to visit family, I saw that my Hoopla had this, so I picked it up and finished it, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. So this one follows Isabel, Gaetan, and Beast. So obviously, if you don't know the premise of the Wicked Villain series, it's like this one nightclub, or all centered around like this BDSM club that Hades owns, and there's like warring families, and it's all just like a spin on Disney, but like not really, like there's not like Disney storylines to it as much. It's just like Disney characters, I would say. So this one is like MFM/MMF. So Isabel's dad was like a businessman, like a mafia type man, and then Gaetan and Beast are also like involved in the mafia, and they were all kind of together, and they ended up breaking up because Isabel didn't want to like choose between one of them, and some things went down, whatever. And then now in the present time, she is back with them again, kind of figuring out, are they like together because they actually want to be together? Is it like for revenge? That kind of deal. I don't know. It was fine. I didn't like love this one. I think my favorite is still either the Jasmine and Jafar one or Hades and Hercules and Meg, but it was fine. It was fine. I don't really have much else to say about it. It was like okay. I didn't love the narrators either, so I don't know. Next up, so the after read along that myself, Cheyenne, and Nikki are doing right now. So our first live show is actually going to be the previous night that I'm uploading this video on Thursday night for After and After We Collided. So after I reread this was my, I think this might have been my 4th time reading this book. But here's the thing with this one, I downloaded the audiobook for it and I loved the audio. I am thriving on this reread, honestly, guys. It's just so cool to listen to this story because it's like a new experience with the story that I've already like known and loved like the back of my hand. Like I know these books and I'm really enjoying listening to the audio. So I listened to the audio for After, and so this one, if you don't know, it follows Hardin and Tessa, and this one is only from her POV, so it's following Tessa, and it is her freshman year at WCU, and she is this very goody two-shoes, innocent kind of girl, and she has a boyfriend back home who's very like cut and dry and just like all-American boy, and she goes off to college, and her roommate is like a little edgy, and she doesn't drink or smoke or anything like that, but then she starts hanging out with this roommate, and she gets introduced to some of her roommate's friends, and one of those friends is Hardin, and he's this bad boy. He has tattoos and piercings and does whatever he wants, and just very edgy, and she can't help but be drawn into him, but they do have like a lot of hate towards each other because they're so like different, and it's like hate to love. Like literally the most toxic romance I've ever read in my entire life, and this is where my love for toxic romance started. It's so back and forth, just so much fighting, but I just literally love it so much. So I listened to the audiobook for this one, and I have like an hour left, but I'm including this one in this because I'm obviously going to finish it today, but I have like an hour left, and After We Collided, which is the second book, picks up immediately where the first one left off, and this one is told in dual POV, so you get Hardin and Tessa's POV in this one, and again, just back and forth toxic energy. I enjoy the hell out of this series, and I am very much enjoying my reread of it. And last book that I read this month was Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. So this one is a mafia arranged marriage, hate to love romance with Cal and Elena. So this one picks up, Elena is set to marry another man, and then Cal comes in on her wedding day, kills her fiance, and marries her right there on the spot, and whisks her away to his little island that he owns in Boston. And he is a doctor for the mafia, and he did used to work for Elena's dad until now, like he's kind of wanted to get out, and marrying her is kind of also like a slap in his face a little bit, and he's kind of like blackmailing him a little bit, but Cal's also being blackmailed because him and Elena actually hooked up before this wedding happened, but then they like obviously didn't like get together. She still was marrying this other dude. Now they're back together and married and whatever. This was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I think just again, I don't know if it was my mood or if it was the book. I just didn't care about the characters. I didn't really feel a lot of chemistry. I just genuinely didn't have like a strong, I don't have like a strong feeling towards this book. I'm just kind of like neutral. Like it was fine. Wasn't anything super special. Wasn't anything I like loved or hated. Didn't love or hate either of the characters. And I just genuinely didn't really care about it. But it was fine. It was our Smut Club pick for this month. Cheyenne and I just have had a bad run with our picks. Here's hoping that December's better. So anyways, that is all the books that I read in November. I have a video coming on Sunday actually because I'm doing a collab with someone. So that will be up on Sunday, but otherwise I'll be back next week with like my normal Tuesday, Friday. So anyways, that is it for today, and I will see you when I see ya.